It's our understanding that there are arrests being made actively as we speak. This is rocking the league. The FBI arresting a coach in Portland, as well as current and former players.
Okay, just following up again with this very interesting and complex Big U case. And the question is, who is the Jew boy? And is this Big U case, don't be shocked as if this as this moves on, if it gets tied in. Have you forgotten about the NBA gambling scandal with the Mafia indictments? Is it all intertwined? Who is the Jew boy? Jewish financiers traditionally, of course, work with Italian organized crime, though they can't be made members. And if you remember from Big U's initial complaint drawn up, one of his extortion victims was the Jew boy who he slapped around for money, but he also sent somebody to Minnesota to intimidate an NBA player to collect money for the Jew boy.
I was shocked about Chauncey Billups having covered him as both a player and a coach, but his gambling accusation, as Nate mentioned, has to do with poker. So it's totally unrelated to the game, at least it seems so at this point. But as for the players Bill mentioned, at these prop bets, these are easily manipulated. And there was a guy on Twitter, on X now, who posted about that game in 2023 regarding Rozier that got lucky that I was fed some inside info that Rozier was leaving in the first or second quarter so that his unders would hit. So these players who want to help out a buddy or affect, somebody's income can make a call and say, look, I'm not going to play that long. And they can manipulate how these bets come out.
The big write-up, people are, and rightfully so, thinking about the murder part. And that's the worst. And there's more specific stuff about the murder and the superseding indicting. So he's definitely charged with murder. I don't know if people had confusion about that. The NBA All-Star debt collection. Now, again, remember, there's an ongoing mega case that the NBA, of course, is trying to run in interference or mitigate, let's say. It's your boy who has the podcast, the one who pulled the gun and got himself kicked out the league, Agent 00 retard, Gilbert Arenas. He was running a poker game, and then my hometown, who played for the Pistons, Chauncey Billups, and a bunch of other players caught up in gambling and poker game stuff with the Mafia. Eugene Henley. The superseding indictment over at Acts 145 to 146 specifies that in November 2022, Henley arranged for a co-conspirator to collect a $3 million illegal debt from a current NBA All-Star and took a cut.
Now, I can remember a time when gambling was completely disassociated with pro sports, but not only have they accepted it, they've embraced it. When I went to turn on an NBA game last night, the sideline reporter was holding a microphone that said FanDuel on it. So FanDuel, one of the largest platforms for gambling, now televises games.
Is this the Jew boy who he smacked around? Who would an NBA... So now we now know that there's a nexus point currently of indictments and investigation of, and we know gambling has swept the nation worse than crack in 86. There's ongoing multiple indictments and continuing investigations of NBA players, possibly other professional sports players, Italian Mafia made members, remember the Mafia? The Mafia has done a very good job of having the news make you think they don't exist and they're not dangerous and they won't have you killed, but they still do exist. And depending what city you're in, I wouldn't want any trouble with them, and they can bring you trouble in another city. And the thing about the Italian Mafia, they've been doing this for 100, in New Orleans and Tampa, 1880s, they're going on 140 years in the United States, and they were already doing it in Sicily. So they know what they're doing. whether a particular mobster looks like he's dangerous himself or he's just some 60-year-old fat guy, but that's not what gives you power in life. It's the network effect. So anyway, $3 million debt. Who would you, if you're an NBA player, who would you run up a $3 million debt? Who would let you run up a $3 million debt? Who would you gamble with? So if you're gambling, who would you even gamble with that you think could pay you if you won? Adrian Bronner, he's probably getting questioned. We're going to get into that. Flight, now this is interesting. This is a lot. I'm just kind of trying to give you guys okay, the flight from law enforcement, if we remember, he got on his phone. So that was Henley, and it names this all in it. They use this as an overt act. So you want to play games with the police, they're part of the RICO Act. Entirely new material. This details Henley's actions in March 2025 when he learned about his planned arrest. Turning off his phone at 12:30 a.m., he fled his home with his wife while she left her phone powered on as a decoy. They left the federal subpoena on the kitchen table next to a Seattle Mariners hat, which they reference as a Rolling 60s gang hat, and he used the Crenshaw Kruger's Instagram account to claim racial profiling, attempting to poison the jury pool, naming co-defendants and instructing the public not to associate with them, and surrendering without his phones. So those are part of his RICO. So if they bring, let's all learn a lesson. Not that we're doing the stuff Big U does, not that anyone who watches my channel commits crimes, but
talking about I'm a fugitive. So they just raided all my houses. 600 was actually with the police when they raided my house. And he's actually got video and footage of it. So y'all know what y'all dealing with. And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about whack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff. All of y'all filed. All y'all who be sending shit around the internet, all y'all who be promoting and listening to what they're saying, all y'all giving these likes and hidden likes, all y'all supporting this. All y'all guilty of this shit. If you had something against a black man, you should handle it with a black man in the streets.
When he said, oh, you all are, by doing these podcasts, you're snitching on people, you're snitching on me. Well, from the perspective of the federal government, you're threatening the entire population. Anyone watching that YouTube video is sort of being threatened. All of you. And then further, I wouldn't be surprised if some weirdo YouTuber or social media person wanted to. They could probably go swear out a complaint and be some type of witness and be like, oh, I felt threatened because I made stories about Big U. Poisoning the jury pool. Anytime you talk to the whole population, you got to be careful what you say in public. Like, I know California has, and other states have probably similar charges. Not all states do, but California has a terroristic threats. Man, I'll F you up. I'll shoot everybody over here. Like that type of talk that a lot of us have said in moments of anger. Those can and will be using everything you say out loud could be used against you. So always stay in control of yourself. Like Big U, for a guy as old as he was, late 50s, he really lost control of himself. I don't know why he would have got on YouTube. So they've posted that on Instagram. So they're using that against him. And special sentencing allegation. Paragraph 14 formally alleges that Henley committed the premeditated murder of victim Rayshawn Williams on January 25th, 2021, as part of the RICO pattern. This triggers potential life imprisonment or even a death penalty under RICO's special sentencing provisions. What's in the complaint that's not in the superseding indictment? The complaints affidavit. Okay, so blah, blah, blah. So they kind of, the 107-page thing, breaks down in detail. That was the FBI agent's report. And then the superseding indictment just makes them into simple to understand charges. But let's refresh our memory. Confidential informant 1, I think this might be an NBA player. Is there going to be an NBA player who testifies? Some of these people are going to have to testify.
Now in one breaking news, former NBA star Gilbert Arenas arrested and facing federal charges, accusing him of running an illegal gambling ring out of his San Fernando Valley home.
Illegal poker game. He and 5 others have been indicted, alleging that the suspects operated an illegal gambling business. Now, this illegal gambling business went and spanned over for about a year. Gilbert Arenas, known as Agent Zero, well known for his career with the Wizards and current podcast, he and 5 others have been indicted for allegedly that the suspects operated the illegal gambling business in which high-stakes poker games were played at an Encino mansion Arenas owned. He is charged with 1 count of conspiracy to operate an illegal gambling business, 1 count of operating an illegal gambling business, and 1 count of making false statements to federal investigators.
Confidential witness 2, some of these victims are going to have to testify. Somebody's got to testify in Big U's trial. It'll be interesting to see who. Is confidential witness 1 an NBA player, though? Recounted a large buy-in dice game occurred in L.A. In June 2019, a game involved professional boxer Adrian Bronner, AB. AB's associates and several prominent NBA players. According to CW1, AB and his associates fixed the game and cheated NBA players out of millions of dollars using teased dice.
During this time, investigators say Arenas rented out an Encino mansion he owned for the purposes of hosting that high-stakes poker.
This is one of the things the mob still has a stranglehold on, is running off the books dice games, because why? The mob got the money to pay if they lose. They got the muscle to protect stuff, and not just the physical muscle. The most valuable thing the mafia has around the country is the crooked police, crooked lawyer, crooked judge thing. A judge or a lawyer or any member of law enforcement, you can't just go up to them and, oh, hey, I'm a criminal and I heard you're crooked. That's not how it works. A small handful of lawyers can be passed a bag, and they know which judge the bag can be passed to. You'll never know it. What your lawyer's going to tell you is, oh, I don't like the judge we're assigned to. He's rough on your kind of cases. I'm going to try to get us reassigned. And then when he hits you up for the lump sum, which he tells you is for, he's not going to tell you he's bribing a judge. But anyways, so there's an indictment now involving dice games and etc. for the mafia in LA, amongst other places. And here we have it saying Big U, part of the check-in with him was he had to approve of any dice games or similar events, such as parties involving large sums of money and prominent NBA players and celebrities in LA. Now, was it white celebrities and NBA players? Doesn't sound like it. They may have had that broken up. Multiple persons involved in the incident have since been interviewed. The NBA players, possibly some of Bronner's homies, including former NBA players, confirmed that Henley was played. So a bunch of NBA players who listen to all this rap music and act like, they're part of the street life. They're all giving statements, because when you make $10 million a year, why wouldn't you, I guess, right? But why are you shooting dice with shady people? Including former NBA players confirmed that Henley was paid $100,000 for negotiating this debt. However, Each was later approached by associates of Adrian Bronner and told they still owed. So the NBA players lost shooting the crooked dice. Henley got the money back right then. They paid Henley. And then Adrian put his guys to put them back on him. I don't know if they're gang members or they're people of his from Cleveland or whatever. So they were still pressing NBA players. What a bunch of idiots. You guys are getting paid to play with balls for a living. Run back and forth with a ball. And you still manage to get yourself mixed up with getting questioned by the FBI and people pressing you and threatening you. What a bunch of retards. Victim 1. At the outset of the investigation, Victim 1 was identified as an extortion victim. Meeting with Henley and other identified victims. During the meeting, Henley told Victim 1 and others that he got into it with Adrian Bronner after Adrian Bronner cheated a current NBA All-Star out of $1.5 million and a former NBA All-Star out of $5 million. So a guy that's in the All-Star game right now was shooting dice and lost $1.5 million. Where do you got heads at? But I guess, I don't know. I don't know what it is to have those, I guess. One thing I tell you about living in LA, from the clothing industry to the music industry, and this cuts across all demographics, every kind of people, I definitely no longer associate IQ or sophistication with having money. Getting money does not have them. Like, being smart does not get you money. It really has very little to do with it. And as we're seeing now with Epstein, Trump being the president, maybe what a lot of people have thought all along, where really the world or America is just run like it's a gangster country. And really, who's the most antisocial, who's willing to be right at the edge of the law, maybe go over a little but not too far, that's who gets the money. But anyways, these guys are being played to run back and forth from matching outfits with balls. They're so dumb, they get cheated with crooked dice by Adrian Bronner. Adrian Bronner don't even seem like the guy I'd want to hang out with. Always talking. Cheated a current NBA All-Star out of $1.5 million and a former NBA All-Star out of $5 million. Is Adrian Bronner going to get indicted? $5 million shooting dice. Now, is this part of the... Remember that Billups and Arenas were probably doing this stuff. They may have had debts with the Mafia. Is this part of the reason they had debts? Who was the former All-Star? Is it Chauncey Billups? He charged the players $100,000 to get their money back from AB. And AB was checked for failing to check in. In November 2022, so this goes on. Here's where the Jew boy. In multiple calls, Henley recounted sending someone to Minnesota. Hey, you guys, do your investigation. Does Minnesota have an all-star that could be the type of moron that was mixed up in this? Well, back in 2022. Someone in Minnesota collects several $100,000, of which, this sounds like type of shit Ja Morant would be involved in. Several $100,000 of which he admits to taking a cut from a current NBA All-Star. This debt is purportedly collected on behalf of someone Henley refers to as Jew Boy. So, let's backtrack here. So, he had to go get $5 million back from Adrian Bronner for one NBA All-Star. He gets a cut. Now, is this guy in Minnesota a different NBA All-Star who owed money to the Jew Boy? That sounds like someone who might have been involved in running poker games or something. The Minnesota collection is referenced again in superseding indictment as overt acts 145 to 146. In November 2022, defendant Henley arranged for a co-conspirator to collect an illegal debt from a current NBA All-Star who purportedly owed $3 million to a Big U Enterprise associate. Defendant Henley took a portion of that debt that current NBA All-Star player owed as a fee for collecting the illegal debt. This sounds like something different than the dice game. Because remember, he made Bronner give them the money back. This is a debt to a Jew boy. And he did, there's somewhere in there where I think he might have slapped the Jew boy. The Jew boy figure appears again connected to this debt collection operation. 2/14/23. Robinson told Henley that Robinson told Jew boy that he owed them money, that they would allow a payment plan. But if he did not pay, they were going to shut this MFer down. Apart from the superseding indictment on February 14th, 2023, and an intercepted call, defendant Robinson Bearclaw told Henley that Robinson told Jew boy that if he owed the Big U Enterprise money. Okay, that was a repeat of that. So, So to summarize, the full picture these documents paint. So, 2019, there's an illegal dice game. They lose. Sounds like they lost $6.5 million at least. Bronner, they call Big U in the roll, he has some rolling 60 show up, they press Bronner, they get all the money back. He gets a little fee for doing that. But these NBA, remember, the indictment of all the gambling stuff, professional sports is so valuable. They're really keeping it tamped down in the news. But we remember that night when all that stuff came out a couple months ago. The Jew boy referenced appears to be another individual caught up in this debt collection extortion web who was being shaken down separately. So the Jew boy, whoever that is, used Big U to go collect on a $3 million debt. So if you have to collect on the debt, that means you're getting credit. See, with the Bronner thing, you're shooting dice, you're losing the money right there. That sounds like a poker or a sports gambling debt. And this, listen, you'd be surprised at the suburban white males or Middle Eastern or whatever scattered around the country in suburbia that are making their living from being a part of large gambling operations that eventually lead back to major mafia figures. That's what the mafia, mainly the gambling is. Sports gambling, especially now. I don't know if it's been cut into but there's a set an age group of people that like sports gambling, and just like there's people that don't like buying weed at the weed shop because they like going to I want to go to the hood to buy my weed illegally. That's like part of the fun of it. That's the excitement. There's people that like gambling in a mafia controlled gambling thing. Why wouldn't you go to the casino? There's a lot of NBA players being questioned right now, and this certainly seems to overlap with Big U's case. The grand jury charges: 1. Defendant Eugene Henley Jr., also known as Big U, a.k.a. Unk, a.k.a. Draws, a.k.a. Hannibal, a.k.a. Hannibal Muhammad, a.k.a. Anybody Killer, a.k.a. Dave Austin, was a self-admitted member and original gangster, or OG, of the Rolling 60s Neighborhood Crips, a violent street gang founded and operating in Los Angeles, California. Be careful how you describe yourself, because they're going to read it back and describe you in court with it. So Big U has described himself in a way that don't sound good in court. Those are his own words. Developing Options was getting $550,000 a year grant, which is federally funded. From July 1st, 2018 to July 30th, 2023, Developing Options got $2.3 million from the mayor's office. This isn't, he's not the first person caught up And again, this cuts across all demographics. People get caught up in that nonprofit world. I stay away from people trying to get me to start talking to me about nonprofits. I don't want to hear about it because a lot of people do a lot of fraud. I had a job in college when I was in graduate school. We would write reports about different nonprofits in Detroit receiving federal grants. Well, that wasn't my job, but people that worked there with me. And they would have to go out and go to the office and see what was going on. And a lot of them were seemed fraudulent or like they weren't doing much. Having safety fiestas where you spend a bunch of money giving out t-shirts to say stop the violence. And then if you look and see who they bought the t-shirts from, it was their cousin and the price of the t-shirts is too high. As part of Big U's purported control of Los Angeles, individuals, including professional athletes, musicians, and others, intending to conduct certain types of business in LA, including both legitimate and illicit, were required to check in with defendant Henley prior to traveling to LA or engaging in certain activities. Defendant Henley hosted a podcast called Checking In, the opening theme song of which explained, when you hop off the plane, check in, because if not, shit get hot, you better check in. What some people might watch and just take as, who knows if he even made that up or he did that with World Star Hip Hop. I mean, was he really using that as like a subliminal message, or I don't know. Though I can't remember, now this seems stupid that I told someone I know, my friend, this. I've told that to different people in LA, like, oh, you should build yourself up on social media, then when people from out of town come in, you could get some money. But that was a stupid thing of me to tell people. I didn't think of it as criminal conspiracy. I just thought of it like, if you're the type of guy it's like if you come to LA and it's almost like you're paying for like the gang experience. Because if you got money and you don't want to be extorted, I mean, you don't have to be around any gang members in LA, and you could be places where there's security, which you should be doing if you have money, but they want to hang out with certain type of people. Where Big U really played himself, Henley recorded a film crew in LA's Hyde Park neighborhood in around 2017. Anytime you want to do movies in the hood, just check it in. But if you don't check it in, we're going to check you in, all right? We're going to check in all your equipment. Okay, now the murder. Multiple acts involving murder, chargeable under Nevada State Revised Statute. Kidnapping, chargeable under Nevada statute. Defendants Henley and Robinson drove from LA to Las Vegas, where defendant Henley kidnapped and murdered victim RW. Defendant Henley arranged for victim RW to record at a music studio in Las Vegas and then confronted victim RW for lack of production. In January 2021, defendant Henley, using his influence and reputation and the influence and reputation of the Big U Enterprise, arranged for victim to record music at a studio owned by a Grammy-winning producer. That's got to be Molly Mall. In January 2021, defendant Henley's direction, KF arranged for victim RW's lodging at an Airbnb in Las Vegas. Boy, because the kid wasn't recording fast enough. Now, and that kid, and then we got the young lady. I'll do a different story on that. But Henley kidnapped and murdered victim RW for perceived disrespect. This is a kid that lived in his house as a teenager. They kicked him out because he wore Big U's son's chain to school, which, well, people have gone through the murder, but Big U members and associates attempt to cover up for murder. this is long. Overt Act 78. Overt Act 77 on June 22nd, 2022. I'm sorry, Overt Act number 78 on July 9th, 2022. To intimidate victim 1, defendant Henley told victim 1 that defendant Henley... Okay, so on July 9th, 2022, to intimidate victim 1, this ongoing victim, Big U told him that he had seen Whack 100 and his wife and daughter. And there's 5 to 15 guys with us with hoodies tied down. I got my hoodie on, all black, tied down. She like, boom, she jumped in the car, paid, and then took off. Boom, Whack 100 is screaming, my wife draws, I see you, Eugene. I see you, Eugene Henley, I see you. He's screaming all that. He's got his blower out. So Whack 100 pulled the blower out. But he's effed up because nobody's around. He like, die here, man. Don't do this. My wife, my kids in the car. Draws, don't do this. People making out Whack 100 to sound bad. I mean, what do you, 15 people, and I'm not pro or anti-Whack 100, but just for the record, like, everyone turns everything into a joke on the internet, but like, all this stuff really happened. What the hell are you supposed to do if 15 people come around you that are known gang members? You better get scared. Now, all that yelling out his name, I don't know, I mean, shit. Who knows what you would do in that situation. Now, this no good deed goes unpunished. On December 2nd, 2021, this Overt Act number 112. I'm just skipping through this to show how many damn overt acts there are. Victim 2 was hosting a defendant Henley's birthday party in an adult entertainment club in LA, for which victim 2 was a promoter. On December 2nd, 2021, defendant Henley demanded a $30,000 extortion payment for victim 2 hosting Henley's birthday party. So you want to use my name? It's $30,000 after the fact. Defendant Henley threatened to have 5,000 6-0s destroy victim's business. Oh. That sounds like... Is that the Jew boy? Is that the owner of... We'll tear this MFer up. We're gonna tear this bitch up. There won't be a club there no more. Defendants Robin and Martin, others unknown to the grand jury, including members of Rolling 60s, confronted victim 2 at his business.
Message from LGTD.
Okay, so... On November 10th, 2022, defendant Henley called Armani Aflage, a.k.a. Manny. She owned the Trap Kitchen, which had gotten kind of famous on its own. And he sent $1,000 human trafficking off from $1,000 Zelle payment. Remember when I told you be in Vegas? That's her. She gonna make every bitch get naked. Give my brother some head right now. That sound like you just talking shit. But, again, in federal court, the word make. Manny will make all the girls get naked, and if I say give him some head, they will. Things just seem kind of like not a big deal if you're in the wild lifestyle, you at a party, and I used to go to a lot of after hours when I was younger, that whole little world, like, and, well, it's not so much that I went to them, it's that I knew people that were throwing them. Like, someone that lived across the street from me was kind of like a crackhead Big U. And I used to drive, I was his driver. And I would be, this before I was 21, I was in all, not just the clubs downtown, every hole in the wall. And We'd make people let us in free. He'd tap guys on the pocket, give me some money. Yeah, that he was a crack. Wow, I'm now having flashbacks. I used to drive around a crackhead Big U. And I'm not being funny. Like he was, like sometimes he'd like, run me over on Arizona. And because there were 2 blocks by me, Geneva and Arizona. There were 2 of the big nickel rock blocks in the city. And there'd be a line. This is in the 90s. They were still having lines of people buying crack. But the sack would come and then it would sell out. And I looked out my window. He was a member of a African-American motorcycling club. So I knew all of them and I used to be there. I'm not going to say which one. And I looked out my window one day and they're running in and out of his building. And this guy's bigger than was, rest in peace to my man. I ain't going to say his name. I went to his funeral, all that. That was my, like, be with him every day. He had a big funeral. He was bigger than Big U. I looked out my window and the members of the motorcycling group are running in and out of his building with guns. And because I knew I went out and I was like, what's up? So-and-so said they in there watching him and someone put a camera in his apartment. And I'm thinking, someone put a camera in his apartment? I said, you do know he gets high. There's no one with a camera in his apartment. And they were like, stopped because of what I told them. Because, like, I knew them too. Like, I would be around, like, and what I said made sense. But they didn't make a big deal about it with him. But that goes to show people that's trained to go, if one of them calls up and says they're doing something, they just show up, even if it might not be a real situation. I'm about to bag some bitches, guaranteed. You already know I don't play no games. On December 9th, 2022, an associate of defendant Henley and former NFL player was involved in an altercation with the victim at a restaurant in LA. On December 23rd, 2022, on an intercepted call, defendant Henley instructed the victim's relative that the victim was to go to the lineup and tell him to pick the wrong person. Anytime they feel like you're obstructing justice, they don't like that. On a multi-way telephone call, defendant Henley said the young guy going to say he stole his watch out the bathroom and the former NFL player came to get his watch back and it turned into a fight. He's going to apologize for stealing the former NFL player's watch. He thought it was his watch. NFL player came back to get his watch. It turned into a scuffle. Case dismissed. Oh, wow. So this is Big U actually kind of making a guy so that the former NFL player didn't get in trouble for the fight. They kind of pressed this young guy. On an intercepted call, defendant Henley called the victim's relatives and told them that the victim needed to take the blame for the incident and avoid criminal charges for the NFL player. Defendant Henley met with the victim's father in person. And then he fled. In that post that he made on the Crenshaw Cougars account, that was naming his co-defendants and known opponents, instructing the public not to associate with them, and claiming that if they did, they, quote, they were not black. That's overt act number 183. So everybody you better watch what I do these stories so we can learn something from it. Watch what you say. If you get in some trouble and you even been saying on the internet that people are, you better stop snitching and all that type of stuff, They can make that part of an overt act against you. They're so terrible with the overt acts. I got to do the hometown hero Peasy's indictment sometime. He didn't even have hardly any crimes in his indictment. I think he had one crime of like bringing some heroin somewhere. His overt acts were stuff like rode in a car that had codeine syrup in it earlier in the day. Like stuff where you're like, how is this a RICO? Hobbs Act. Boy, so these counts against them for extortion are $500, $1,000, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $1,000. But these are how the mafia cases often are. These sound like small sums. But if you got a circuit of people who you hit each, you got, 10 or 12 people and you hit each one once every 2 weeks. For $1,500, you're picking up $1,500 a day, basically, on top of whatever else you got going on. It all adds up. In or around November 2022 in LA County. So ordering up some hoes, as we found out with Diddy, though Diddy was buying boy hoes. How would you like to be in prison for buying dick? That's crazy. That's wild. In or around November 2022 in LA County within the Central District of California, in Hannibal Muhammad, a.k.a. Anybody Killer, a.k.a. Dave Austin, and Armani Afleji, a.k.a. Manny Amani, each aiding and abetting the other, knowingly transported and willfully caused to be transported individuals in interstate commerce from the state of California to the state of Nevada with the intent to individuals engaged in prostitution and other sexual activity for which a person could be charged with a criminal offense. Human trafficking. So if you have any, those of you again that trying to get some money outside the law, just know it sounds like Big U was buying. I mean, maybe he didn't personally. He was supposed to get something for free, I guess. But he just zelled her $1,000 to bring some girls, and they would figure it out when they got there with the guys. Back to my point of being around the after-hours scene and those type of stripper parties and all that a lot when I was younger. Nobody thought of that as human trafficking. It's not like the girls had to do anything. But it's kind of like if you're there to trick, I guess. But in retrospect, looking back, I suppose if you're a 21-year-old woman that weighs 130 pounds and you're somewhere with a house full of guys or an apartment or a hotel room full of men, big men or whatever, men with guns, whoever, it could be pretty hard to say no. So that's why they call it human trafficking. But all you guys playing pimp who are just drivers, they can hit you with human trafficking. You drive a girl somewhere, you have transported her for the purpose of prostitution. So your homeboy pays you $100 to take a girl somewhere, or you're getting paid to be a driver by a girl. That's why those girls pay guys to be their drivers. Part of the reason, if they get caught stealing a watch, they're gonna say it's a guy downstairs in a car waiting on me, and he could be said to be, they're gonna blame it on him. If he has a record, got a gun on him, blah blah blah, you're just a fall guy. It's a dirty game. Okay, so that was a breakdown of some of the new stuff, or all the new stuff in the actual superseding indictment that came out at the beginning of the week, and the fact that I think this could be interlocked with the ongoing NBA Mafia indictment stuff. Who is the Jew boy? Big U, Al Prophet. American, no.